And I think that's very important. Never quit. Never quit on your dreams. Just go for it, and there will always be difficult moments, but just follow the voice of your heart.
Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zum Podcast Stark und unsicher. Mein Name ist Kerstin und ich unterstütze Menschen, berufliche Neuorientierungsphasen gut zu meistern. In diesem Podcast spreche ich mit spannenden Persönlichkeiten über ihre bunten Lebenswege. Mein heutiger Gast, unser heutiger Gast ist Sergio Bambarén. Vielleicht kennst du seinen Namen, vielleicht kennst du seine Bücher. Er ist ein weltbekannter Autor, auch wenn er sich selbst überhaupt nicht gerne so sieht oder so nennt. Er hat vor vielen Jahren sein Debüt gefeiert als Autor mit Der träumende Delphin, ein Buch, das in mittlerweile mehr als 25 Sprachen übersetzt wurde. Sergio Bambarén kommt ursprünglich aus Peru, hat schon an vielen Orten der Welt gelebt und ich durfte ihn in Graz kennenlernen. Ich war ganz aufgeregt, als ich im Newsletter der Stadtbibliothek erfuhr, dass er nach Graz kommt. Dieses Interview ist auf Englisch, hat auf Englisch stattgefunden und ich freue mich sehr, dass sich Sergio die Zeit genommen hat. Ich wünsche dir jetzt viel, viel Freude beim Zuhören. It's not too late. Deine Kerstin. Welcome to this episode of Strong and Insecure, Stark und Unsicher. Today it is my honor to welcome Sergio Bambarén, a worldwide known author who many know because of his best-selling book, The Dolphin. In German it's called Der träumende Delphin. His heartwarming stories are about finding purpose in life and about developing the courage to do what you really, really love. Thank you so much for taking the time and welcome, Sergio.
Now, Kerstin, it's an honor to be here, and thanks for your time and the time of your audience.
Some people have read your books, and one of your most famous books is The Dolphin. I remember myself that I read it when I was a teenager, and I grew up in the countryside, and around the house there was not a lot to do, and I loved spending time inside reading. And one of your books came to me. Sorry?
Lucky you.
Yeah, lucky me, definitely, yeah. And and in your books, I loved to be encouraged to dream. And as a teenager, I felt like this is the most important thing, to dream about what my life should look like one day. And I was so happy to find out that you come to Austria, and this is why I came to the library where you presented your books again, and I was reminded how important it is for us to dream also as adults. So why would you say it is important for us?
I guess you should dream all your life. There's always hope, when things go bad, or when you see so many things happening around the world that sometimes you really touch your heart. We shouldn't lose our hope, and always dream that things will go for the better, and of course with our help, and basically that's the reason I guess we're here. The word dream, hope. Uh, it's a life in itself, because once you achieve some of your goals and you keep dreaming, it's, for me at least, it's a life well lived. And on top of that, being able to share the magic with others is something that I hope I will keep doing to the rest of my life.
That sounds good. Yeah. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your life, and then we see how you came to this place where you are today, or also how you came about to write your books. And I know that you were born in Peru.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
how was it to grow up in Peru?
it was beautiful for me, Kirstine, because I was one of the lucky ones, I have to say. I had great parents. My father is a psychiatrist, but always persuaded me to ask the why of why. You know, why is this the way it is? Why is this the way it is? And also a beautiful mother. She had two hearts, and because I cannot believe that she had one, uh, because she had so much love to give. So I was, as I said, I was one of the lucky ones, and I was born in front of the ocean. At that stage, I didn't know how important that would be for the rest of my life. And beautiful friends, um, wonderful memories, and just the ocean. You know, the sunset, the dolphins, surrounded by good people, and also by other people. But at that stage, it didn't matter too much because I was a kid, and as kids we feel everything is good in life. You know, we think that everyone is good, and that everything will go well. Then you start to grow, and you see that life gets a little complicated if you let it. But it's a trial and error situation, and you learn from your mistakes. But basically, what really made me live the life I've lived up to now is I never forgot the child I was, and my love for the ocean and the creatures that live in it. So that took me to different places in search of surfing, which is basically what I love to do the most. Swimming with dolphins, whales, you name it. Uh, and always thinking, you know, that for me, richness and being famous are words that don't exist in my vocabulary. So it's amazing how life works in strange but wonderful ways. And I'm not rich, that's for sure, because I share a lot of of what I get with people that need them much more than me. And just a humble human being that one day decided to follow his dreams and try to find the true purpose of his life. So that took me through amazing adventures and also some problems, I have to say. And but I never quit, and I think that's very important. Never quit. Never quit on your dreams. Just go for it, and there will always be difficult moments, but just follow the voice of your heart, and things will happen. Maybe not when you want them to happen, but they will happen sooner or later. Yep.
Very nice to hear such encouraging words.
No, it's basically the way I see it is, you know, is losing fear of fear itself, of some of the things we were taught, and traveling means so much, or reading, for example, because you go to different worlds and realize that the world is such a big place with where what in the place you were born, something may be true, right, somewhere else it might be wrong. But throughout my travels around the world, thing I've seen that you find them everywhere. Um, uh, People just trying to be happy, you know, and your values, you know. Um, doesn't matter the religion or the spirituality or the color or the race or the age. People are just living a life trying to fulfill them. Um, unfortunately, sometimes we get lost in the way, and that's something that happens. But when that happens to me, when I was younger, I used to see it as a trouble. Now I see it as a learning experience. So I won't do it again. And again, it's just keep it simple, as I said, as I always say, keep it simple and just follow the voice of your heart. Sooner or later, things will go well.
When would you say did you really start following your heart?
I can say that now, looking back, Kirsten, since I was born, what happened is that when I was, when you grow up, you learn a lot of things, and you are taught. I mean, they tell you a lot of things that are supposedly to be the correct things to do. But the person that teaches you that does it in good faith, but maybe you think the different way. So sometimes there's a problem there, and I always say the same thing. It's in order to find the true purpose of my life and who I am, because of the way I was raised. It's like an onion. I had to peel a lot of slices and go back to the roots of who I am and what I'm supposed to do in this world. But again, it's beautiful because to live a life with consequence and purpose is much better than just doing what they tell you to do, and sooner or later you will realize that you're not totally happy with your life.
What are some examples for things that people told you to do?
Well, as I say, fear. Don't do this because you're going to fall. Don't do that because it's dangerous. Um, I was born in a city, in front of the ocean, and the ocean is 30 meters below. It's so easy to fall. No, not easy to fall, but if you're afraid, you can fall, and and of course you kill yourself. But why should you be afraid? That's the question. So for me, it was so simple, just to hang in there, with my legs just bouncing, because I never thought I was going to fall, and I didn't. So things like that, or while growing up, my love for the ocean, swimming with sharks, and the only thing that is bad with sharks is the movie, Shark, because they're amazing creatures. You have to know what to do when you're in the water with them, but basically they don't they don't care about you, and they just go their own way doing what they have to do. And but again, for someone who has for many who have not had the experience, and they see, they tell them that there's a shark in the ocean, I mean, they just fly away. And things like those, Kirsten, things that are not true. Again, another thing, and this is maybe a topic that not too many people want to touch, but I always say it. Throughout my travels around the world, I was born Catholic, and but after seeing the world with my own eyes, I just became a spiritual human being, because I don't relate to many of the things that with the religion I was born. But I mean, I respect 100%.
Yeah. I think it's so beautiful what you're saying, and I already wrote this down when you came to Graz. Not to be afraid of fear, like don't fear the fear, right? I've actually never heard this before. Like, of course, there's a lot out there about the concept of fear, but often we actually worry about the future and we worry about being afraid. And so this is for me much more to the point. And it really got me thinking how much I do that. And I think a lot. And it's,
And me too.
yeah.
Your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy.
Mhm.
And if you start to think, in the end, 99% of what you think is just thinking and, and worrying about something that you still don't know what's going to happen. And it has happened so many times to me. But with practice and meditation and learning, you start to stop that the speed of that thinking and let things go with the flow of life rather than trying to push them.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Now, I was very surprised to learn, I didn't know that about you, that originally you studied to become a chemical engineer. Is that correct? So, how did that go? When did you decide to become a chemical engineer, and how did it come to this point where you started to write books?
Yeah. Again, if I see now, looking back, it had to happen because if not, the rest of my life would have not flowed the way it did. I always loved maths and chemistry basically, because I'm a chemical engineer, because I love to know what things are made of, and the why of the why. And it's the same for me or in everything in my life. I'm a very curious person. I want to know why things work the way they work. But again, also it was a beautiful opportunity to travel because I studied in the States, in Texas, and also a beautiful opportunity for me to go surfing to all these places. I had a dream when I was a kid that one day I would go to surfing, places like Hawaii or California or Central America when I was studying as a chemical engineer. So if you would have asked me at that moment, I was still starting to grow, but now looking back, I had a wonderful time, and it gave me the tools to be able to be where I am right now. So it wasn't a mistake. It was the only way that it had to happen because, as I said at the beginning, when I went to study to the United States, I did it because I followed the voice of my heart. And but basically, it was having a degree, which of course it's wonderful, and at the same time, giving you an opportunity to travel and see the world. This is the thing I love the best, and basically, I love also the mountains, national parks. I love nature in general, and but then for some reason I always end in the ocean.
Nice. Would you mind telling the story about this moment when you realized? I think you, if I recall correctly, you were working in Sydney, in Australia, right? And you had this realization that you don't want to do anymore. You don't want to work in your current job anymore. And what have happened afterwards?
Thank you for the question, Kirsten, because I think this is very important. You see, young people think that they will find happiness in riches and fame. It's amazing, and now these days with all the technology and all the and globalization and all these new tools that we have to connect. I mean, anywhere in the world, people trying to have so many followers and trying to be, trying to stand over the others, only because of winning or making a living. If that's all you want, that's okay. But be careful, because one day maybe you can realize that life will teach you that you don't have to compete with anyone. The only person you have to compete with yourself. And that day you realize that the only thing that we cannot buy in this life is time. And for me, time is the most precious treasure. And if we're going to be in this world for a not too long span of life, do what you love to do, and also help others to fulfill their dreams. So going back to your question, what happened is I went to Australia again, another beautiful country for nature and waves. And through my career, I started to, to work and go fast. What they call the ladders of success. And suddenly, I was the CEO of a very big company. In charge of all Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. And at the beginning, I cannot deny that it was great. It was great because the position comes with all this, what I call all this material choice for grown-ups. The beautiful car, the beautiful watch, all the things that in some way, since you're a kid, they tell you that should be the goal in your life, But then you realize that it's not for everyone. And that's what happened to me. And after working in this company, what probably was a dream come true for others was a nightmare for me, because I didn't work to live anymore. I worked to live. I lived to work. And I lost 2 or 3 things that I cherish most in my life: my freedom, the time to do the things I love to do, and definitely I was starting to become a material person rather than a spiritual, and losing my spirituality. So it came to a day that I couldn't handle it anymore, and I was 30-something years old, and I had to take a decision. I keep doing what I'm doing for the rest of my life, and I knew that I would regret it, or just shut up and don't listen to yourself and do what most people do. But I decided to say no. I have a life to live, and it won't be ruled by what others think or tell me it's the right way. So I quit. Of course, it's easy to say now that I quit. It wasn't an easy situation. It was very difficult, and of course, I had a lot of fear of the future. But fear, not fear of fear, and I think that's so important, because when I took the decision, Kirsten, every time in your life that you have to take a tough decision and you don't know if you're right or you're wrong, it's like crossing a crystal wall. You can see what's at the other side, but there's this crystal in front, this glass in front, that most people around you tell you, no, don't cross it because you're not supposed to. But when you cross it, and that's where the fear of fear comes. But when you cross it, you see that at the other side of the glass or the crystal wall, there are thousands of worlds waiting for you. and it makes it easier for you to choose the path that you want to take. In some way, and don't get me wrong, because somebody has to say it, but not necessarily everyone has to agree, is that if you keep doing what others tell you, in the end you will live a life that doesn't belong to you. And the system is made in such a way that that's the first option they give you. You know, you have to compete, you have to earn this, you have to earn that, you have to have this, you have to have that, you know, the house, the mortgage, the car. And if you start to think, you start to accumulate a lot of things that you really don't need. I didn't say it, Kirsten, in Graz, but I've never had a house. I've never owned a house because I know myself, and I prefer to rent, because I know that maybe I will stay in a place for some time and then I'll move on. Because once the dream is fulfilled, the world is my home, not my country. And if I have to go somewhere else, well, it's a beautiful adventure just beginning, and why not? So again, keep it simple. That's the message. Keep it simple. Nobody's saying that money is not important. Of course, it's important. If not, I couldn't be talking right now. But be very careful how much time you spend in making the money, so you can have a sense of peace, financial peace. But don't get too greedy. At least myself. That's I'm talking just myself, my experience.
Mm.
So that's what happened. You know, they tried to buy me with material possessions, and I said no, that's not for me. And at that stage, as I said before, of course, I didn't know I was going to become a writer, but I knew that I was taking the right decision because I was feeling well, no matter what I heard around me. You know, so many people telling me that I had made such a mistake. But in the end, okay, if I make a mistake, it's my life. And there's one of the things I've learned in life that is so beautiful, is when you make a mistake and you have no one to blame but yourself. That means that you're living your own life, and you cannot point to someone else because you made that mistake. So follow the voice of your heart and live the life you were supposed to live. And one thing took to another one. And here we're talking, making a Zoom, and having the pleasure of having met you in Graz, and talking about life, its purpose, and never don't let your fears stand in the way of your dreams.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us an insight into your life, and taking the time again. I really appreciate it. And before our conversation, I had a look into a few of your books, and I really love how you keep encouraging people from their different stories. Each story is magnificent. It's really nice, and at the same time, there's this recurring pattern, right, of encouraging people to believe in themselves, to find themselves. And I wonder, like, if you met someone now who is in their 30s, like you were when you were working at this company in Sydney, and they listen to you and then they say, yeah, you did that, but I can't. And then there are all of these reasons, right, why people cannot make decisions like that. What what would you tell them? Like, is there something that you can tell someone, or is it rather that you say people have to find out themselves, people have to go their own path and maybe read one of your books and then have an inspiration, or is there something you could tell them?
Look, not necessarily read one of my books. One thing we're talking theoretically is why can't they do it? I mean, what are the reasons? Because I guess some reasons are valid, and maybe the timing, which is so important in life, is not the right one. But don't look for excuses, because if you look for excuses, you're acting with fear, and that's where the problem starts. Now, if you have true reasons and you say, well, not now, I will do this in 3 years, do it in 3 years, don't postpone it again, because if you postpone it, then you can give me a list of all the reasons you can't, but in the end, it's fear. Now, there are, of course, some valid reasons, but that doesn't mean that you cannot do it, when that valid reason stops to be valid.
Yeah.
The times of every human being are not the same. I knew an amazing woman in Hamburg when I was after my tour in Austria, and basically it was amazing because she was shining true light, and she told me that she began, doing what she loved to do when she was 65, and maybe the time was right for her. Yeah. And the only thing I could tell you is that I saw her truly happy. You know what happiness is all about, and so sincere, so herself, that yeah. Again, some start earlier or some start later, but in the end, that's not a problem. If you always keep the child that you were once with you all the time, and think about it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
So answering your question, Kirsten, be careful if you cannot do it because of fear, or you cannot do it because of valid reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. All right. I would like to talk to you about one more topic, which is your love for the ocean and your love for animals. You already mentioned that you give a lot of what you what you get to people who need it, or to animals who need it. And yeah, where does it come from? You already mentioned that you grew up next to the sea. So how come you love dolphins so much that you wrote a book about a dolphin?
Oh, yeah. Well, again, I never planned to write a book. That's the most amazing thing, And I never thought I was going to become a writer. Life showed me that was my purpose. But on top of that, I wrote a very small book in a very special place, and I wrote it for myself, not to publish it. And it's amazing how life works in strange or wonderful ways. Some angels came in the way, and they loved what they saw. I had written in my computer, and they published it for me. And I was surprised because I never thought that there were so many people around the world after thinking the same way I was thinking. Before that, I had rejected an offer from a publishing house, a very big publishing house, because one thing I promised to myself is after quitting my job is to live the life I was supposed to live and never betray myself, betray who I am. And when this publishing house was about to publish the book, they gave me the final copy to review. And I saw that I had changed more than 50% of what I had written. And and probably the lady at the other side didn't know how the way I was, and she said to me the worst thing that she could have said when I asked her, yeah, but this, I didn't write this book. And she said, yes, Sergio, but this is what sells. And there was no way they could get me caught again in this rat race, if you want to call it, with money. If they would have said something like, we love it, spirituality, and we'll give it a go, and put all our efforts, of course I would have done, but never for the money. So that's the reason why I always say be very careful, because greediness is one of the worst things that can happen to a human being, and it's so easy to be caught, because we live in a world that, for some reason that I still don't understand it, being rich for some is being better, and at least I disagree, because I've known so many people that they are so poor that the only thing that they have is money, but they don't have a life. So what's the point? I prefer to share it and share it with those that were not so lucky as me, and also with Mother Earth, because we've made a mess of it. I don't know. We so many people are trying to get so many material possessions, and Earth can kind of supply all the things that we want. We've forgotten that. I think we've forgotten that we're part of nature and not the owner of it. And you see all these horrible things. I see them almost every day, because I'm in contact with other foundations and people who dedicate their lives to this, and we're overfishing the oceans, we're killing the sharks, we're killing the dolphins, we're killing on Earth is the same thing, the climate is getting so hot, the warming effect, that there's no doubt that there's a footprint of human beings there. Maybe this year, who knows, maybe we won't, and that would be terrible. Maybe, I don't know how it is right now there, but here it's winter doesn't arrive, and we're almost November. So if we don't get a good winter, what can we expect of the next summer? There's definitely an increase in temperatures, and the problem is the increase of temperature of the oceans, not necessarily on Earth, because that means that we're melting the ice of the poles, and sooner or later nature will test us as a virus, and we don't want to do that, because we live in such a wonderful world, and we have to think also about the next generations. So the power of one multiplied by the power of millions, as I always say. If nobody else will do it, I will try to do it my best, and try to find people that think the same way, and to stop this craziness in which we are involved, of having the last state-of-the-art phone or car, or you call it whatever you want. And with love, unconditional love, kindness, and lots of love, try to reason and hopefully make a better world. And with love, unconditional love, kindness, and lots of love, try to reason and hopefully make a better world. Mm-hmm. By letting them know, understanding that what they are doing is basically destroying the world.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for also bringing this onto the table, speaking about the environment, about the climate crisis, and I totally agree that we need to bring this into our focus. And as you said, we have lost the connection to nature. Many of us oftentimes probably don't feel that we're part of nature anymore, but we are. And I think that it's so important in the if we hear about bad news every day, right? And if we hear about things are getting worse here and there, that we also remind ourselves of what we actually can do, because there is a lot we can do. It's probably small things that each and every one of us can do, but it's worth something, right? And
That's what will make the difference. Everyone doing a little job, and again, the power of one multiplied by the power of millions. It's the only way. And doing the right thing. And when you go somewhere to shop, thinking twice: do I really need it or not? But first, we have to clean all the mess that we've already done, and start from zero to let this beautiful planet start to recover to what it was, and because we have such a wonderful world to live in.
Yes, we do. Yeah. All right, Sergio, I want to ask you one more personal question at the end about you as a person, and it's always my last question in my podcast, and you can take some time to think if you want to, or just answer spontaneously, whatever you prefer. And I'm looking for 3 words. What is your biggest strength? What is your biggest insecurity? And what do you think is the superpower of us as a society for a better tomorrow?
Okay, that's wonderful. The first one was?
Your biggest strength.
My dreams. The second one was?
Your biggest insecurity.
Learning to really trust in people that deserve to be trusted. Getting away from toxic people.
The last one was, what do you think is our greatest superpower as a society for a better tomorrow?
To change the ship and to realize that if we keep going the way we go, we'll probably disappear. And it's in our hands. It's a superpower that we have. We're the most, quote, intelligent creature in this world. And if we do it the right way, we have the superpower of making this world a magical place to live for everyone in peace.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Sergio, for this wonderful conversation.
Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor, really. All your dreams come true.
Vielen Dank fürs Zuhören bei dieser Folge von Stark und Unsicher mit Sergio Bambarén. Ich freue mich, von dir zu lesen, was du aus dieser Folge mitgenommen hast, aus dieser Unterhaltung. Schreib mir einfach an kerstin@personalskilltree.com und ich leite das auch gerne weiter. Falls du dich fragst, soll das wirklich schon alles gewesen sein in deinem Leben? Falls da irgendwas noch in dir schlummert und ja, ganz egal, wie alt du sein magst, vielleicht ist es gleichzeitig immer und trotzdem noch möglich, genau das umzusetzen, was da noch in dir schlummert. Dann schau auf jeden Fall gerne mal rein unter personalskilltree.com. Und jetzt wünsche ich dir eine wunderbare Zeit, wo auch immer du gerade bist und was auch immer du gerade machst. It's not too late. Deine Kerstin.